I have made a study of every princess in every fairy tale, and I have come to the painfully obvious conclusion that not one of those babes ever walked out of the castle looking anything like this. Geez Louise, no. They were all drop-dead gorgeous with long flowing hair, for the most part, the color of spun gold, except for Snow White, whose mane was ebony in hue, but she was such a knockout, her own stepmother tried to knock her off. So trust me, I have yet to find a role model in anything written by the Brothers Grimm. Now, I imagine some of you out there are looking at me and saying, wow, what has she got to complain about? I would kill to have some curl in my hair. Ladies and gentlemen, wake up and smell the styling gel. This is not just some curl, this is all curl. We're talking 24-hour per day, serious, we shall never overcome kinkiness here. So, I have decided that it is time for someone to write a fairy tale in which the heroine would share my particular follicular impairment, win the hand of the prince, and co-rule with him happily ever after in a castle where no one would care if her hair was found in the bathtub drain. And the name of this story would be My Fairy Tale by Rita Paskowitz, The Other Princess. So that's what you'll be hearing. My Fairy Tale by Rita Paskowitz, the what? You got it. Once upon a time, in a land where morning smelled like, mangoes, there lived a prince whose smile was as warm and sweet as freshly baked glazed donuts. He lived in a modest two-story castle with unpainted woodwork, hardwood floors, a compost heap out back, and a moat used only to grow hydroponic tomatoes. You know the kind I'm talking about, the ones that grow in water instead of soil? Now, his subjects enjoyed 0% unemployment. They had gas prices that strayed no higher than 98.6 cents per gallon. And every person living within his realm was guaranteed continuously running hot water during showers, no matter how often someone in the family flushed the toilet. So I have to tell you, life there was pretty perfect until one day the sun began to go bigger and brighter and bolder until the only blue left in the sky, oh wow, way over there, can you see it? On the Burger King sign. Now, the prince, whose smile was as warm and sweet as what? Freshly baked glazed donuts, was also as bald as a three-way light bulb. But no one knew this because since the day of his birth, he'd been forced to wear his crown. It was part of his job description, thank you very much. But the day the sun began slurping up that sky, the prince knew that something other than the lifestyle was getting soft, and he had to do something to keep his kingdom from curdling and his crown from melting down into a puddle of beer cheese soup. So what did he do? Well, what would you do? He called the consultants. He Googled consultants, and he finally ended up with a firm called Ologist. There were 26 of them, and Greenbaum. So he spoke to archaeologists, biologists, cosmetologists, demonologists, one for every letter of the alphabet, until he got in to see the Greenbaums, who really dug spelunking. You know, caves, telling stalagmites from stalactites. And after talking to all of them, he realized it had not done him one bit of good. So he did the only thing that truly flummoxed people are allowed to do. He joined an online dating service. How many of us have done that? Oh, we're being shy now. Okay. Yay, you who have been flummoxed. The name of the one that he signed up with was called rulingpassions.com. And so he wrote a profile, and it sounded like this. Real prince of a guy seeking single adult female who likes holding hands, taking long moonlit walks around the lake, and saving realms from solar liquefaction. A love of hydroponic gardening, a real plus. Please call me at 1-800-SOS-ASAP because you see, more than just his kingdom and crown were melting down, his heart was oozing too. His parents, the king and queen, had recently renounced the throne to follow their ruling passion, league bowling. And so they had left the entire weight of the kingdom to be borne by the prince's ever-ready shoulders. But even a prince whose smile is as warm and sweet as what? Freshly baked glazed donuts, sometimes needs to have those shoulders massaged by a pair of hands not on the royal payroll. And the day the sun began blotting up the sky like a bounty paper towel, he knew he was knee-deep in one of those sometimes. Now, despite his voicemail message, "Hi, you've reached the prince. Your call is very important to me, so please leave me a message at the sound of the tone, and I will get back to you as soon as I can, unless we're all burned alive by the sun. Thanks for calling, and have a nice day." His voicemail was loaded, flooded with calls. He held his breath and dove in. Wow. I thought your personal profile was really cool, even though I didn't really understand it. But hey, I'm a princess, so I don't really have to understand anything. So why don't you do me and you both a favor and text me what moat means? A small shiver began to, travel up his spine, but still he pressed on. "Okay, let's cut to the chase. So, what do you look like, huh? I am a princess." Enough said. Why don't you email me a selfie with your height, weight, and astrological sign? I am a Pisces. Enough said. At this point, all 179 pounds of his lanky 6'1" Libran length were quivering in harmony with the knocking of his knees. His knuckle began to buckle as he touch-toned the final message into life. "Oh, geez Louise, I hope I'm not too late, but I will do anything I can to help you. Yes, I am a princess, but helping people is part of my job description. So please text me at your earliest possible convenience what your address is, and I'll do whatever I can to help you save your kingdom and your veggies. Oh, and I've got a dynamite recipe for hydroponic gazpacho." Well, since his earliest possible convenience was immediately, the prince began to follow the proper texting procedure. And suddenly, with a speed and logic found only in fairy tales or Marvel comics, he heard a loud pounding noise. "Oh no," he said, "I think I'm having a heart attack. Either that or someone's trying to get into the castle." Well, all the servants had been hospitalized with heat prostration. So the prince was forced to summon forth all of his sun-sapped strength as he slowly let the drawbridge down. And as the light came pouring through like the contents of a squeezed bottle of French's yellow mustard, the prince's head began to spin. And all of a sudden, he heard a voice from his not-too-distant past say, "Oh, geez Louise, your crown, it looks like a 3-egg omelet. We better take it off before you singe off all your hair." "No," cried the prince, because he couldn't bear the thought of her seeing him bared. And he also, as he said to her, I can't take off my crown. Wearing it is part of my job description. Thank you very much." "Oh, really?" she responded. "What kind of a job will you have left to require if your kingdom melts into mush?" Well, she really had him there. So she said, "This calls for hot pads. Which way's your kitchen?" So he grabbed her and took her to the royal larder, and he put a pair of non-asbestos matching oven mitts on her hands. And then he snuck a furtive glance, and he beheld a woman whose eyes were exactly the color of the sky before the sun took over. He saw that she had two very holdable hands and a pair of legs designed for much more than just long moonlit walks around the moat. Well, she mistook his hesitation for shyness, and she said, I'll tell you what, if you'll show me yours," pointing to his head, and then pointing to her own, she said, "I'll show you mine." See, at that point, her hair was just as big a mystery as his was, a dark, wadded mass under her crown, tied in a knot like Popeye's elbow. Well, he closed his eyes and nodded, and as she gently removed his royal runny headgear, instead of grimacing, she broke into a grin as inviting as a bowl full of hot buttered popcorn. "Geez Louise," she said, "wait till you see this." And she grabbed his hand and ran with him into the courtyard and stood obligingly still as he uncrowned her. And all at once, as if by magic or reprieve from the governor, her hair was released like billions of brunette bed springs breaking through the mattress pads, trying to break out as far as they could go, defying the laws of gravity, slews of inky slinkies going out into the ionosphere until the entire kingdom lay sheltered beneath its shade. "Your hair," said the prince. It's beautiful." "Oh, Princess Night Sky at your service," she curtsied. "See, I have these really weird parents, the Greenbaums. They renounced their throne to go into spelunking, caves, stalactites, stalagmites." And then she put her hand out and said, "And you are?" "Eternally yours," he blushed. And she said, I don't mean to sound ungrateful for your gratitude, but I just wanted to know what your name was." "Prince Eternally Yours the 23rd, he said. "I've got these really weird parents too. They're bowling. They're at a mixed doubles contest in Milwaukee, even as we speak." "Oh, geez Louise," the princess empathized. And as their conversation grew more heated, a spark of love was ignited beneath her canopy of all-encompassing curls. And slowly but surely, everything began to cool down until everything went back to the way it had been before, except that moat filled with hydroponic tomatoes. Well, the sun had evaporated all the liquid, so all that was left was a withered wreath of carbohydrates. "Not to worry," Princess Night Sky said. "I have a dynamite recipe for sun-dried frozen Bloody Mary frappes. Which way's your blender?" And so the solar eclipse-haired princess, with a grin as inviting as a bowl full of hot buttered popcorn, and the bald as a tiny tots hiney prince, whose smile was as warm and inviting as glazed donuts. We kind of petered out over here. Let's try it one more time. Freshly baked glazed donuts, fell in love, got married, and co-ruled happily ever after in a palace where no one cared if her hair clogged the bathtub drain. Well, you can clap. How am I certainly don't want to stop you. Does this story have a moral? You bet. It has a moral and an idea worth sharing. And that moral is, you too can be the heroine or hero of a fairy tale or any story, but you will have to write it yourself, because this is the end of mine. Thank you.